Don't, too bad, we're starting. So, hello, I'm Casey Barrich. I'm one of the founders of UpTech, and we're really glad you're here tonight. And I have the pleasure, I stand before you, and I'm like 50 to 100 people to 200 people because in welcoming you here, I'm representing all the volunteers through the years who've worked with UpTech, and the investors, the mentors. At one point, when we got to 200 volunteers, to be real honest, I don't want to say we didn't keep track, but 500? Everybody keeps going, and we have lots of people, and we appreciate it. So thanks to all those people who, through the years, have given to UpTech. We couldn't be here without you. So I'm going to do a really quick intro here because, as JB says, it's not about us, it's about the companies. So every year I do this. I do a little report card because when we started this event, this program in 2010, we designed a report card. KPIs, call them whatever you want, and there were 3 of them. And the first one was we wanted to start 50 companies in Northern Kentucky. I will tell you there were people at the time who told us we were crazy, we couldn't do that. I will be happy to announce that we are at 53 tonight. Where are you, JB? 53. I mean, that's pretty amazing that someone would set out that goal and it actually came true. So we're really proud of that. And secondly, we wanted to make entrepreneurship a real business sector in Northern Kentucky. We were no longer relegated to the kids' table at events. That was a joke. Come on, let's go. Yeah. We want to be, we're serious businesses, and we want to promote that, and we want to be accepted in Northern Kentucky. And I can tell you, we are. We are part of conversations that are going on every day when they talk about economic development, how to recruit more talent to the region. That's all going. And our third KPI was all about investment capital because we know entrepreneurs can't survive without investment capital. We started out at a very easy number to remember, 0, of investment capital in the early 2010. That number is amazing to me. We have raised that to available capital to about $13 million now. But we need to be at 130. But stay tuned. I think there's some exciting announcements coming later in this year that you'll hear where we'll be able to significantly bump that number up. So that's the speech. I'm done. That was pretty quick. Now I have the pleasure to introduce the guy, JB Woodruff, who's the managing director of the program. And I will tell you, I'm sure everybody has it. I have this folder where I'm always printing things off and putting them in the folder I'm going to read later. And I was reading one literally last weekend, and it was this article in the Harvard Business Review. That sounds pretty impressive, doesn't it? Whew. And it was about what is the difference with executives? What causes executives to be successful? What causes leaders to be successful? And it was a very data analytical study. But it came down to 3 things, and I will have to look at my notes for this. It was, number 1, you have to have a strong sense of purpose, passion, and urgency. And so, of course, first thing we all do as humans, we measure it against ourselves, right? Once I got done with that, I was like, who do I know that fits that? And secondly, it's someone who can sift through tons of information and really cut to the quick and say, this is what's important out of all those 100 people who spoke in a meeting. We've all been there. What was said that was important. And third and final, humble, always learning, and a great collaborator. And I read that, and I was thinking, who do I know that fits that? And really, when I went check, I couldn't come up with anything. And so I was running through my Rolodex. Yes, I'm old enough to have a Rolodex. And I came across W's, and that would be JB Woodruff. And I think he meets all of those qualities. That's why he's a great leader, and we really love having him here at UpTech. So JB Woodruff.
All right, I want to make sure this is on. Okay, good, it's working. Wow, this is great, guys. This is my 4th year doing this. I love seeing all the familiar faces and many new ones here for our 7th demo day here at UpTech. It's amazing just to hear 7, right? It's just like, as Casey pointed out, this is something that was, I think, a little unexpected, but I think we can anticipate the success. And I'm really happy to have all of you here tonight. So over the next, I should probably introduce myself. I am JB Woodruff. I'm the managing director of this UpTech program. It's my distinct pleasure to be able to work with entrepreneurs every single day. And I've got a great set here that you guys are going to hear from tonight. First, I'm going to start a little bit talking about the UpTech program. Then we're going to jump into some amazing pitches that you're just going to love. And then we're going to wrap up. I'm going to tell a little bit about the future of what the UpTech program has in store. So that sound good? I think that's a good plan. So to start things off, I want to say some thank yous, and I need to say some very distinct thank yous to the funders of our program who make this program possible every year. And those are, to start off, saying thank you to the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development, Triad, the City of Covington, the R.C. Durr Foundation, and finally, the Northern Kentucky Fund. And the sponsors for tonight, yeah, thank you. I think it's a good time to give a round of applause. And I do want to say also thank you to tonight's sponsors for our demo day. My clicker is having a little bit of a problem here. That's a CVG, Triad, the CTI, which actually uses this space. Hey, it actually worked that time. We'll fix that so you guys don't have to have a problem here. And Graydon. So a big round of applause to say thank you to those folks. We're going to try this one real quick. Thank you. That's why I like these guys. Back up. So the first thing I want to start off with is talking a little bit about our program. So UpTech is a seed accelerator where great tech ideas grow to be investable. We're located here in the city of Covington, and our founders become investable through 4 means that we have in our program. The first, they leverage intensive one-on-one coaching. The second is they connect with mentors, investors, and customers. They learn the right skills at the right time. We don't do fluff, we custom tailor things to what these folks need. And finally, through all of that, they become data-driven in everything they do. And I'd like to tell you a little story of one such founder. His name is Alex. He's right over there. Everybody look at Alex. His journey began a little bit of over 5 years ago while he was working in his corporate job. Alex had this idea. I like to call it the itch that he couldn't scratch. He took that idea, he participated in a startup weekend in Cincinnati. As a result, Alex formed the company Tixers and applied to the UpTech program. He received an investment from UpTech in our second year, and through a lot of hard work, Alex got a follow-on investment and ultimately sold his business a couple years later. Now, I tell you this story because it is the story that I use to inspire others to do the same, to take that leap. He was someone who took a risk and he succeeded. There are many who take that risk and don't succeed, but I always look at it as a success if you take that risk and you take that leap. I'm also telling you this story because of what he said to me a couple weeks ago. He was working at UpTech and told me that he loves being there and that it feels like home. That's why we do what we do. We do this for the entrepreneurs, and we enable those entrepreneurs to take that leap. We give them a home. So I want to show a brief video to explain a little bit more of our program, so please enjoy.
Michael, our long-term vision?
Our mission is to support small farmers and make local food more normalized. Building a successful company should be the goal. It's the first step. The UpTech program really helps set that foundation early by founder development, even things like time management, project management, and just setting up processes to help us grow from the beginning.
Org analytics will be in every manager's toolkit My background is in investment banking, so that brings a very different perspective or a different background into the entrepreneurship realm and into the startup world here at Cincinnati. Even though we're a startup, we can really meld our company to match that big company view and have much more of a long-term vision around it.
They want to learn the right tools so that they can know when their business is working.
Our long-term vision is to be able to help companies understand their customers on a deeper level. They've been really helping us understand our value proposition and ROI.
I'm a serial entrepreneur. I owned a company prior to UpTech, so I knew how to run a business. I just didn't know how to run a tech business. They teach you the milestones and the things that are needed so that the business matched the product.
Startups come to UpTech so that they can drive value to their customers and ultimately create a sustainable business. By doing those things, they're going to become investable.
Our vision at Weave is to give a voice to employees to make positive changes within an organization. One thing we learned is that Midwestern hospitality is a real thing. Everyone has been really willing to help us out, and it's helped us really find a good product market fit.
My goal with True Circle is to normalize therapy and make sure everyone gets the chance to get the help that they need. It's so intimate in the startup scene here that meeting investors, they're willing to share their knowledge, they're willing to mentor you, they're willing to help you get to the next stage, which is completely different from the East Coast and West Coast.
One of the things that I've noticed over the past few years is the real international flavor of UpTech classes. Part of the cohort has been from Ireland, from Latvia, Canada. UpTech especially has really gotten an angle on that and realizing how appealing it can be for an international startup to get a foothold in North America by coming to the greater Cincinnati region.
So we went there for 5 months, working very, very hard to set the foundation for the company.
It's important for UpTech to not only have companies from the Midwest, but also companies from outside the Midwest, or even international companies like us.
Because as those companies progress and as they grow and as they learn things, they can come back and help the UpTech community.
It's been really interesting to see the ecosystem thrive and grow. And I think as a city and as a community, we just have something really unique and valuable.
It brings a lot of talented founders, investors, as well as engineers to this area. It makes companies want to stay here and actually build their companies here in the region. Coming from San Francisco, I see the difference of actually being able to build a business here in the Midwest area.
We were really pleasantly surprised to see that there was a pretty booming startup community, a lot of angels, a lot of mentors that were ready to connect with us and help us out.
It's very important in economic development to grow your own businesses when you can, because they put down roots in the community.
So St. Elizabeth's vision is to help make Northern Kentucky one of the healthiest communities in the United States. Innovative thinking requires partnerships in the community to get that done. UpTech's been a great partner and a great avenue to help us solve problems. I think we're only scratching the surface.
WonderFund is an equity crowdfunding portal, and what we do is we connect with startups who are looking to raise capital. The biggest problem that all these companies have is looking for funding. What we loved about the UpTech relationship was just the creativity in leveraging online platforms like us in order to get there.
So UpTech is really about making companies investable. That's the first and foremost goal. But at the end of the day, what we also do is we want to focus on one word, which is inspiration. And that's inspiring people who are entrepreneurs to come and activate their ideas. It's inspiring investors to get involved and put their money to back these companies. And finally, it's inspiring people in the community to really drive activity and helping the entrepreneurs do what they do. I love that video. That's something that our partner Spotted Yeti put together this year. So a big round of applause for them. I love that video for our region and for us. And in that video, there was something that I watched it afterward. I realized we produced it, but there were some key words that I want to just highlight. And those are founder development, drive value to customers, partnerships, thriving ecosystem, sustainable businesses, and innovation. And as listen to it, UpTech truly does check all of those things. These are the results of what we do. And you know what? Behind those results, we have a great team. There's myself, there's Abby Ober, who's our operations and marketing manager. She's right here. Please give her a round of applause. She truly made this event happen, so if you want to say thank you to somebody tonight, please say thank you to her. And we have 2 great interns this year. We've got Jade and Sid. They're also, you saw them checking in. I think they're probably still out there. I hope they're coming in soon. There they are. And I do have to thank another part of the team, which is my wife and my 2 children, who are probably at home watching this. Actually, I know they're watching it, so that's fun. But thank you to them as well for what they do in support. She was listening to me do this last night as I'm frantically going through it. The other part of our team is our board. And this is a board of very strong community leaders, who many of whom have been through this program from the very start, well before I came along. And they're the ones that give us the most support. And when things get really tough, they step up. So a big thank you to them for helping make sure we keep this show running. And you know who you are, who really stepped up this year, so I really appreciate it. And then finally, there's a room of you, our community, our mentors, our educators. You are our army of value. I really believe that we would not have the value we have without your willingness to do this without asking for anything in return. So a big thank you to you, and you are a big part of that team. Now, what would a data-driven accelerator be without a little bit of data, right? So we've been running for the last 7 years. We've had 53 startups come through. That's 105 diverse founders who've created 284 jobs. Even that video we had produced was wrong because we've had more jobs created in the meantime. And I'm proud to say we've had 4 exits so far. So those green were the first 4 years. I'm expecting more each year as time goes on, because that's the standard trend. We've been recognized as a nationally ranked program. And finally, I'm really proud to announce that we've hit that $10 million mark. That's total amount of investment in our founders over the years so far. Next, I'd like to talk about our partnerships. Because 2 years ago, we moved to enhance the Customer Connections program. It's a big piece of what we do. It's ensuring that our entrepreneurs have a customer to talk to, validate their problem, work through building their product or service. We have 2 great partners currently with St. Elizabeth Healthcare and the City of Covington. These partnerships enable us to work directly with potential customers to better understand their needs and give us direct access to those who can help our startups. Our partners, in turn, get access to the latest in innovations and a new way of thinking about solving their challenges. And today, I'm really excited to add a new partner to that list, and that's Cincinnati's International Airport. And at this time, I'd like to, they're a leader in the community when it comes to innovating, and I'd like to now invite Brian Cobb to the stage to share his thoughts on this.
All right, kids, you can't have a talent and tech demo day without some really cool stuff, right? Good evening, everyone. It is an absolute honor to be with all of you tonight, especially under the auspices of joining the entire UpTech family as far as one of those committed community partners. Many of you know the story of CVG. It hasn't always been roses for us, perhaps. But the last several years have really just tremendously gone gangbusters, and we're very fortunate. Who are we fortunate for? You. You are the individuals that have actually tremendously helped us recover from the days of old, and we're incredibly fortunate for that. So how has that positioned us, and why is a guy like the airport here talking about innovation? I would argue all day long, sitting in my seat, that we've lost our way as the U.S. airports. We're missing an opportunity. I talk to my colleagues pretty much every week around the world, have the good fortune of spreading the good word of CVG around the world as well. But very quickly, the same story kind of occurs that we really have fallen behind in the opportunities for talent and tech. We have the opportunity, and I firmly believe it is right here in this region and absolutely in this room. So that's why we're heavily committed to the direction that we're going. I would also say in the domestic U.S., the opportunity that is occurring is right here in the Midwest. And it truly is, as someone said on the video, it really is that Midwest charm. It's the welcoming environment, the way that we embrace the community here in this particular region. And why is that? Again, I would argue, if you look at the East Coast and West Coast, essentially they're pricing themselves out of the market. So we talk to the East Coast folks and we talk to the West Coast folks in the talent and tech space, and it's almost unaffordable for startups like many of you in this room to actually make it a go. So the Midwest and our low cost of living and the opportunity to have the support bases that you have here in this room and companies like ours in St. E's and the city of Covington and our friends across the river at Centrifuge, that is a collaborative community that is here to help, here to support, and absolutely accelerate your business to where it needs to go. So with that, JB and certainly Casey, thank you for everything that you've done. Casey, we go back some years. We finally got it over the goal line, and we are thrilled to be part of the UpTech family. We're very much looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Brian, thank you for bringing that here, because that is amazing. And thank you for your words. That was fantastic. It's great to hear from one of our region's leaders, especially in innovation, to talk about what's going on and the trends we have coming up. Another partner I'd like to talk about tonight is Wonder Fund. Many of you saw in the video Marvin Abrinica. He's sitting up here. He's been a longtime mentor of our program, but he recently launched a equity crowdfunding platform called Wonder Fund. And like Kickstarter, you as a common individual are able to invest your money, give your money to a startup company. But instead of getting a t-shirt in return, you can get some equity, a piece of ownership of that company. And 2 of our companies thus far, out of UpTech, have used Wonder Fund to raise a small amount of money to help them get over the hurdle. Apex Sports being one of them that's going to be speaking tonight, and CrowdMob being another. So he's a great partner, so we love having them in, and I foresee many more companies will be using a platform like this in the future. Before we get to the pitches, I know it's been a long wait. I have one request for you guys to do tonight. And as you're listening to each of these startups pitch tonight, I want you to think of one way that you can help each of them, whether it's making an introduction to a potential customer, giving them feedback about their business idea. Keep that in mind, and I'll tell you what to do with that once these pitches are done. For now, on with the show. We're missing one of our individuals, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the next individual. I'll be right back. Never mind, sorry, I thought he was sitting up front. Obed is here. So I'll introduce, sorry about that, I'm going to introduce Tom to kick it off.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks, JB. I appreciate that. I've got to tell you, Brian, that is really impressive. I like to, I'm going to leave it with you. I tend to walk a lot when I'm talking, and I'm worried to death I'm going to trip up here, and I don't have wheels connected to my feet. Welcome, everyone. I have the honor of introducing the first company. My name is Tom Payne, and to get things started, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. By a show of hands, how many people were rooting for the Clemson Tigers in the college football national championship game? Come on, be proud. Your team won the game. How about the Crimson Tide? How many were rooting for Alabama? Makes me wonder if I'd asked 2 weeks ago if the hands up in the air would have been different. How many people at the time said, enough with football, I'm watching HGTV? Come on, I know there's a few of you out there. Okay. Let's focus in on those 2 teams for a minute. Think about that national championship game. Think about how much time and effort and preparation that those 2 teams put into that game. That was the 15th game of their season. Let's think about the amount of prep work that they put into all 15 games in their respective seasons and how they tried to improve their performance and their outcomes from one game to the next. You see, almost any major athletic team is going to tell you that there are 3 key areas to preparation that drive success. One is the time spent on the practice field, another is time spent in the weight room, and another is time spent in the film room. See, from its inception, athletics has been outcome-based. And what better way to improve your outcomes than to look at past performance, change your strategies, your tactics, and then look for better outcomes in the future. I think companies, I know companies are trying to do this as well. As they move from being more time clock based to being outcome based and performance based, they're trying to better their employees and better their companies. Nowhere else is this evident than what you see with sales reps. For 24 years, I've had one title. I've been a sales rep. I've worked for a multitude of different companies, but I've always been a sales rep. And by most measures, I've been very, very successful. I mean, I've sold everything from floor tile to global enterprise software systems. I've had deals worth a few $100s. I've had deals worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I've closed lots of business. And I will tell you that I have lost more deals than I've ever won. And I have failed more than I've been successful. And I've often thought, what would have the greatest impact on my ability to have been more successful? And I think about what athletic teams do in the film room. What if I had access to my past performance, looked real time at the way I answered questions, the objections that I got, the key indicators that I got back from a prospect, and then I used that to adjust my behavior and my future performance just like an athletic team does? That's why I'm so excited about Convolytics. Convolytics is going to transform the way that companies teach their reps to go out and improve their outcomes. They're going to be disruptive to the way that companies train their employees, moving away from the genericized way of training that we've lived with for decades and being more specific to that company sales team and that company sales rep. I have the honor and pleasure to introduce Obed Eugene, who's the CEO and co-founder of Convolytics, to come up and tell you more. Obed?
It's a great introduction. Thanks, Tom. That was awesome. That was awesome. Hi, my name is Obed Eugene, co-founder and CEO at Convolytics. And at Convolytics, we're helping sales reps improve their sales calls to help them close more deals. Meet Mike. Mike is a sales manager, and he manages a team of 10 sales reps. Mike's job is to make sure that his team is closing deals and hitting their quota every month. But 75% of sales reps are underperforming. They're either barely hitting their quota or not hitting their quota at all. So sales managers like Mike are spending a lot of time having to coach and train their sales reps. What they're doing is sitting in on these sales calls to try to figure out how to help their sales reps improve. But sales reps are making about 300 sales calls per month. And with a team like Mike's, 10 sales reps on a team, they're making about 3,000 sales calls every month. Now, it's impossible for a sales manager like Mike to be able to listen in on all of these calls. So this is why we built Convolytics. Our technology records and transcribes sales calls, and then we perform an analysis on those calls to figure out how sales reps can improve. We then give a report on how sales reps can improve on those calls and give them suggestions on what to say. So let's take John, for example. John is a sales rep on Mike's team. Now, John is very enthusiastic. He has a great personality. But for some reason, he's not hitting his quota every month. He's not performing well. So without technology, we will record John's calls and figure out what's going on with his calls. We'll be looking for how John is handling objections about pricing, how John is handling objections about competitors, and figuring out how he's talking with his customers about their pain points. We then give a detailed report on how John can improve on those calls, and then we can help managers like Mike understand how to help his sales reps. So I know you guys are all wondering, what did we find out about John? Why is John underperforming? So we found out that John just loves to talk. He's talking too much on the calls. He's speaking about 60% of the time, and he's not allowing his customers to get a word in, and this is a big problem. We also found out that John does not stick to the script. Now, our technology is not only looking for negative things, we're also looking to figure out what sales reps are doing correctly as well. And we found out that John is pretty good at building rapport on these calls, and he's very knowledgeable on his product. So we're targeting a very large market. there are 2.2 million sales reps in the United States. But our long-term vision is to be able to record and analyze every conversation that companies are having with their customers. And we'll be targeting customer support reps as well. And there are 1.8 million customer support reps in the United States. The total addressable market is a $6.64 billion market. Q4 of last year, we launched our MVP, and we've been doing a pilot with a company in Detroit. Early this year, we're working on working some companies in our pipeline and looking to close some deals in the Cincinnati and Midwest area. Later this year, we're looking to expand and start to reach out to those customer support reps that we mentioned before. We have a very talented team. Myself, I'm a software engineer, and for the last 10 years, I've been building software and doing data analysis. In my last company, I led product development and led the product to analyze over 15 million data points. That company was funded through Techstars and the Sprint Accelerator. My co-founder, Derek, he's our chief product officer, and he's been building and designing product for the last 5 years. So with Convolytics, we're helping sales managers like Mike manage their team more effectively so that they can help their team perform better and close deals. This is Convolytics. Again, my name is Obed, and I look forward to speaking with you all.
I'm Joshua Perry. I am a former athlete, national champion team captain at Ohio State. Took my little tour around the NFL for a couple years, and I'm here to introduce UpTech Sports. UpTech Sports is a web platform that brings pros coaching young athletes directly on their laptops, their desktop computers, whatever you have. Bring tips and drills and everyday things that they can take into their game. Apex gives you an advantage over your competition. It brings you that edge, but it also brings it convenience. You know, when I was in high school, I had a trainer. You'd have to be able to coordinate schedules. You had to take the time to commute. Apex is something you can do from the comfort of your home. It's founded by Connor Morris, Austin Fenstermaker, and Marcus Davis. Marcus and I have a very close relationship. I actually played with Marcus in Little League ball all the way up through high school. He's a very sharp guy, a very hard worker, and so that's why I'm proud to be not only a content contributor, but also an investor. So with that, I'm honored to bring you Marcus Davis and UpTech Sports.
Josh, thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm Marcus Davis, co-founder and CEO of UpTech Sports, and we're taking all athletes to their absolute maximum potential. So I want to start off today and tell you guys a short story and introduce you to a young athlete that our team at UpTech Sports met, named Jason. And Jason is an actual UpTech Sports customer today. So when we met Jason, he was living in a very rural area of Kentucky. In the area that Jason lived, there are very few quality coaches for him to learn from. The handful of quality coaches that were in his area were extremely expensive, often charging Jason over $100 per hour. Now, Jason had dreams of eventually playing at the collegiate level, but because he was facing these problems, he didn't have access to the quality of coaching that he needed to reach his dreams. So after meeting Jason, our team decided to dive a little bit deeper into this youth sports market. And what we found is that there are 45 million youth athletes in the United States alone, just like Jason. And 90% of these athletes are facing the exact same problems. These athletes are facing geographical barriers when it comes to coaching. This simply means where these athletes live, there aren't quality coaches for them to learn from. They're also facing financial barriers. Like we saw in Jason's case, quality private coaches are often charging over $100 per hour. And for the majority of youth athletes, this simply isn't affordable. So as a result, these athletes are forced to learn from non-credentialed coaches, and they're never reaching their true athletic potential. So we knew that this was a problem, but the question was there any money to be made in this market? The answer to this question is absolutely 100% yes. We found that youth athletes and their families are spending on average $8 billion a year on quality coaching, even though these problems that I laid out exist. And for that reason, there's a huge opportunity for more accessible, quality coaching solution in this market. Enter UpTech Sports. At UpTech Sports, we're partnering with professional athletes to develop online, interactive sports courses. Now, the true value of our courses is that we allow young athletes like Jason to learn directly from top-of-the-line professional athletes. So you can be sure that those athletes are getting the kind of coaching that they need to develop and become a better athlete. On top of that, our solution is completely web-based. This means it's totally on demand. It can be used anytime and anywhere. So in Jason's case, we're eliminating any geographical barriers that you may see. Also, we have the most affordable, quality youth sports coaching solution in this market. So diving a little bit deeper into the product itself and how a youth athlete would engage with our product, the first thing an athlete would do would navigate to our course content catalog page. Here, the athlete will find courses that are taught only by the best professional athletes in the world. From there, the athlete would filter down by sport, then by position, and finally by athlete to find content that's most relevant to them that will make them a better athlete. The athlete can then make a purchase to enroll in the course of their choice. Once enrolled in the course, the athlete will get access to over an hour of video lessons that we work directly with these professional athletes to develop. We then supplement these video lessons with written content and review activities and deliver all of it through an extremely interactive and easy to consume online platform that's designed to build better athletes. So looking at our revenue model and how we monetize the product, we charge $30 per course for every course offered on the platform. So say you're a young youth athlete that wants to learn from Joshua Perry on our platform. You would pay $30 for that individual course and would be given lifetime access. From there, we have a revenue share model set up with the professional athletes that we work with to produce these courses. So for example, in Josh's case, he would work with us to produce these courses, and we would share revenue residually going forward. And this is a huge incentive for these professional athletes to come on board and build content with us. So the fact that we are sharing revenue with our professional athletes is a major, and it actually gives us a very unique advantage when it comes to our go-to-market strategy and customer acquisition. So the pro athletes that we're working with to build these content have very large social media followings. As you can see here, one of our partner athletes, Cardell Jones, has 279,000 followers on social media. So the fact that we're sharing revenue with these athletes incentivizes them to promote our courses, brings traffic to the UpTech Sports platform. So since launching the company in January of this year, we've partnered with 7 NFL players. Of those 7 NFL players, 3 of them immediately decided to come on board with us as strategic investors. Those 3 players are Brandon Chubb, Tyvis Powell, and Joshua Perry. So I've talked a lot about football today, but today we're really excited to announce that just recently, our team has landed partnership with 2 major sports organizations in Under Armour and Major League Lacrosse. Now, the biggest and most valuable aspects of these partnerships for our company is that both of these organizations will be facilitating introductions to some of the biggest athletes and most notable athletes in the world for us to produce courses with. From there, both these organizations will also be helping with distribution to help get our product to market. So diving a little bit deeper specifically into our partnership with Under Armour. The plan is to grow with Under Armour in 3 phases. Phase 1 of this partnership is live today. And if you go into about 90 Dick's Sporting Goods stores around the country and purchase select Under Armour lacrosse products, you'll see these QR codes attached to the product. If you scan those QR codes, you'll be taken directly to the UpTech Sports platform, where you'll find courses that we work directly with Under Armour and 2 of their sponsored athletes to produce. So again, this is just phase 1 of the partnership, and that's live today in about 90 Dick's Sporting Goods stores. Phase 2 of the partnership is to continue growing with Under Armour and to expand into lacrosse, continuing to build courses with some more of their sponsored athletes. The purpose of phase 1 and 2 of the partnership is to learn together with Under Armour and use those learnings to transition into phase 3. Phase 3 of the partnership with Under Armour is to continue growing with them and get in touch with some of their top of the line athletes. Under Armour is a sponsor company of some of the biggest athletes in the world, like Tom Brady, Bryce Harper, and the list goes on. And through our partnership with Under Armour, we'll have access to some of these top-of-the-line athletes, and they'll also be helping us with distribution. Taking a look at our team, we are absolutely the ideal team to solve this problem. Not only do we have experience with companies like EY, Textron, and we recently graduated from UpTech Accelerator 6 cohort just last year, but we're also lifelong athletes that are extremely passionate about solving this problem. Just a few short years ago, we were in our customers' shoes. We know the problems they're facing firsthand, and we're uniquely positioned to solve those problems. Our extended team consists of some of the most well-connected people in the world in the sports space. We have advisors like Butch Carter, former NBA head coach of the Toronto Raptors, Chris Carter, NFL Hall of Famer, and strategic investors like Joshua Perry and a number of other notable players as well. So we are Apex Sports. We're taking all athletes to their absolute maximum potential. Thank you.
I turned this on and off a couple times, so I'm sure that. So it's my pleasure today. Hi, I'm Emily Geiger. I am the current head of the BigCo innovation team at Centrifuge, gracious partners of the UpTech community here because you guys help our mission and hopefully we help yours. It's awesome to be here with the folks in the front of the room, mainly because I've seen 3 of you in the last 2 weeks in different ways, the True Circle team, the Organalytics team, and the Weave today as a part of an event. And so I love the diversity and the color and the engagement that we're seeing here today. So my job is to introduce Shweta, and that's hard to do other than acknowledging that she is so passionate that she's brought her 2 daughters who are up there listening us today, and while they're adding their own commentary, I just hope you guys know how awesome your mama is and that she's paving the path forward for you two. So pay attention. Everybody's got important things to say here. Beyond Shweta's passion, I think she brings a really nice depth of experience to her product, from investment banking to big transitions with big corporates. She's got the been there, done that benefit that's really important when you're selling a B2B software into enterprise clients. I got to know that because Shweta learned that we were doing a human capital or a team building exercise for agile and high performance teams for some of our corporates, and she volunteered to contribute to the cause. She ended up teaching the workshop because she had so much passion for the diversity and inclusion component of that workshop. And what I can tell you is that after her presentation, the big companies in the room swarmed to her as an expert, and that was inspiring to me because she had the energy, but she also had the depth and the subject matter expertise. So what I think is especially unique about what Shweta brings to the table today is just a little anecdote from what I heard today from a former HR tech leader, and that was we had a group of people that got together and talked about human capital and where it's going and the challenges. And what we heard, and a special tidbit that I heard today was human capital is kind of a fuzzy topic, but anybody that can bring me as an HR technical leader an undeniable data-driven approach to this, like the rest of you guys in this cohort, cuts ahead of the line. And I think Shweta's presentation today will help us get there. And I'm excited to hear where you've come and where you've gone with the team's support, Team UpTech support today. So without further ado, let's hear about where you've come.
Thank you. Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. I'm Shweta Pai, CEO of Organalytics. Really excited to be here. So let me just get started with a quote. What can't be seen can't be fixed, and what is once seen can't be denied. That's the basic tenet behind Organalytics, where we bring visibility into those unseen team dynamics that could potentially derail team performance. Now, when we talk about team performance, it can be a really broad topic. But the biggest problem area that companies face today is around inclusion, because diversity and inclusion has been increasingly a priority for a lot of companies, and diverse teams are quickly becoming the norm. And this is with good reason. Diverse teams have been proven to be much more creative, innovative, and productive than non-diverse teams. So companies spend $8 billion on diversity programs. And they build these teams, and they're pretty good about building these diverse teams. But this chase towards diversity means that they are not really getting the full benefits of diversity, mainly because those diverse population, the diverse employees, tend to leave at a much faster clip. And this revolving door of diverse employees results in that $8 billion investment in diversity becoming a $64 billion attrition cost. And that cost is because of wasted recruitment dollars, wasted training, onboarding, as well as inefficiencies, and not to mention the knowledge that just keeps walking out of the door. Now, some companies do invest in inclusion programs or engagement programs, but this tends to be an afterthought. So they're fairly generic and they're unfocused. So these are things like Thirsty Thursdays or free coffee for all. But these fail. Why? Because we don't stay in teams because of Thirsty Thursdays, right? Why do we stay in teams? We stay because we're part of an amazing team where we're learning a lot, knowledge is shared, our ideas are welcomed, and we're supported by amazing mentors. That's why we stay, because we're included in those areas that matter, how the team actually operates. But managers today don't have any way to look and measure those operational areas of inclusion. That's where Organalytics comes in. We help managers halt that revolving door by providing them visibility and insight into those operational areas of inclusion. And our solution is a slam dunk because a diverse employee that walks out of the door costs $250,000 to backfill. So just saving one employee and making them stay and keeping them in the company results in savings. So how does our tool work? Really quickly, it's a simple three-step process. It's a web-based application that a manager can use to just engage with their team. They can do it through email, chat, Slack, and it's typically driven by questions that they ask their employees on how their team is actually interact with each other. These responses then get fed into our algorithms, which create these visualizations that give you those visibility. And then our machine learning models come in to identify quickly the problem areas. The managers can then take targeted actions around those problem areas identified. This can be repeated quarterly so that managers can then make sure that they can monitor the health of their teams and that the actions that they took actually have the impact that they intended. Let's take a really quick, closer look at what this output looks like. Here's one of our visualizations for knowledge sharing that we did for one of our early pilots. The manager is sitting right there. Her team are those green dots. Each individual is a dot. The lines are the interactions that they have on knowledge sharing. Now, initially, before we did this, she thought that she had a great team that was sharing great knowledge with each other completely appropriately. And for the most part, they were. But we quickly identified two key areas of problem within their team, where she had individuals who weren't sharing any information and a small cluster that wasn't sharing information with anybody except for the four of them. This is just one of many interactive reports that we provide managers so that they can make data-driven decisions around their team. Let's quickly talk about our market. We look at two key trends when we consider our market. First, the candidate pool that companies are pulling from continues to grow diverse. And secondly, labor productivity continues to decline as it has over the past decade. This means that diversity programs are becoming much more commonplace, And they're becoming much more of a focal point for companies who are looking to drive productivity. So this creates a great opportunity for organalytics because we're the only tool out there that actually helps managers and companies measure the effectiveness of these programs. We have 3 paths to revenue: direct to client, white label offerings, as well as API access. Our tool has been tried and tested through successful pilots where we've gotten great customer feedback, where they've been amazed at the amount of insight that we can provide very, very quickly. And we also have great corporate partnerships. We have a great team in place as well. We are diverse ourselves. Brian is an experienced entrepreneur who has had several exits under his belt. Matt is a machine learning and AI expert who is the key behind our tool. And then I myself have been in the shoes of the clients because I've managed large global teams in the past. So in summary, organalytics is it has the right team, the right tool, and we are filling a need in a growing market. We are organalytics, the future of inclusion.
Hello, I'm Monisha Hatfield. I'm from St. Elizabeth Healthcare, and it's a pleasure to be here. Good evening. As a St. Elizabeth director, it's been an absolute pleasure to partner with UpTech. We really have a symbiotic kind of relationship where UpTech really helps us bring new thinking and innovation to our company, and we in turn try to return the favor by really connecting and being mentors to wonderful people like Lenny. And it's a pleasure to introduce Lenny today. One thing that struck me when I met Lenny was his absolute passion for 2 things, with really improving the situation and the affliction of those affected by mental disease, and for helping those who are underserved. And that comes true in every single interaction you will have with him, and I'm sure it'll come true in his presentation today as well. True circle. Lenny is able to really bring his vast network of resources, and it's really quite vast because he comes from New York. He has connections absolutely everywhere. He's be able to bring his deep knowledge of the mental health space, and he, like many of us, has been really personally impacted, true friends and relatives, by this disease that's, so critical and so critical to solve. I know 1 in 5 adults are impacted by this, and this is a problem that really affects a lot of our school children as well. And he also is adding pieces to his innovation that helps to bring this important resolution to a disease to those who can't afford it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend Lenny Carter.
Thank you, Manisha, for that great introduction. But the sad news is, in that 3-minute introduction, 3 people have committed suicide. Trauma is one of the causes of people committing suicide. I know because I was one of those people. I grew up in this neighborhood, Brownsville, Brooklyn, and we have a slogan: never ran, never will. And that was actually a slogan that allowed me to bottle up a lot of my emotional and mental health damage that I experienced. Some of the stories stem from as a kid growing up in a household of domestic violence. Other stories include family members using drugs. Other stories include family members getting robbed and crime happening in the area. And last but not least, grief has touched me more than I would like to share. I'm here today because of therapy. And 45 million people over the Christmas week watched this movie. And this scene stuck out to me tremendously because going to therapy, this car is kind of how your brain works. There were different people in that car experiencing different things as they were going through this darkness that they lived through. Now, the movie was very symbolic to me because darkness can represent anything that you make it to be. It could be how you grew up. It could be what you've seen. It could be your day-to-day life and where you work at. So that darkness was there in this movie, and they're sitting in a car, and you have different personalities moving around and telling that person and others what to do. Your brain does the same thing with your mental health. You have those that want to get out the car. Let's get out the car right away and deal with the darkness and everything. There's others that have the fear and calmness to say, no, that's not the best idea. I struggled with it, and luckily I had therapy to get help and be here today. Unfortunately, everyone that's affected don't always have the help and resources that they need. Here's an example of a veteran that actually took the steps to go to the VA and was turned away. And due to that, he ended up dying by the hands of suicide. That's where we recognize that there's a huge problem with the mental health industry, because not only finding help can be difficult at times, but finding the right help is really challenging. Because 60% of people, after their first visit to a therapist, actually drop off. And that's where the vision for True Circle came alive. As I experienced my own mental health challenges and recognized the barriers of getting help, I started to realize that there's a huge community space, that there's a lot of players in everyone's healthcare, from doctors and physicians and nurse practitioners to mental health professionals, all the way to yourself identifying and figuring out how to get help. Next, you also have the community that's a vital part. Your community could be your family, could be your friends and the people that's closest to you, or it could just be people that notice that you have a rough day and ask you how you're doing. That's where we built True Circle from two sides of the marketplace. We built one side of the marketplace to focus on the customer. We never charge the person that needs help to use our services. We provide them the tools to learn a little bit more about mental health. So there's learning tools, and we focus on reasons for therapy and why people should go to therapy. We have a matching tool because self-identifying is really, really challenging at times. When I faced my own challenges, it was because someone else recommended me to go to therapy, and not only that, they attended therapy with me. If it wasn't for them, I may not be here. We also have a matching service where someone can fill out a form because searching for a therapist or not finding the right therapist can be a challenge. So we ask pertinent questions for that intake to make sure we get the correct information for that patient to match them with the right person. But we turn around and also have the next section of our platform where our target customer is the provider. The healthcare provider, such as a mental health professional, at times have skill sets that people cannot reach them. So we offer telemedicine to make sure anyone from anywhere in the same state, because of license reasons, can get the service that they need. We also offer the ability to bill, credential, and make sure the payments are facilitated for the patients. Because one of the hardest things of getting help is the fact, one, most people do not know that insurance pays for mental health services, but two, most providers don't accept insurance because of the paperwork challenges that come with that. So we help with and assist with that process. We also train our professionals to make sure they have diverse knowledge and backgrounds on the people that they're serving, and also earn CEUs, which keeps their license up to date. And we also make sure that they can follow up in between sessions to make sure these patients get the best care that they need. Why we focused on these areas was the fact that we also realized that the customer is our provider because providers struggle as well. Service-based businesses, especially social service-based businesses, there's not a lot of money in that service. You don't get paid a ton of money. So we turned around and we built the model to make sure that the providers are rewarded for the hard work that they do by giving them tools to help them retain their patients. And in retaining their patients, they can grow their revenues anywhere from 25 to 95%. This is a huge market and opportunity here. For mental health treatment alone, in the US, we spend $220 billion. Substance use disorder, we spend $43 billion to service these people. True Circle is here in the Midwest, in the tri-state area of Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, because we realize this is a central location where you can get the best of all worlds. You have the opportunity to work with urban America, you have the opportunity to work with the suburbs in America, and we also have rural America where reaching the help is really challenging. So that's where we're kicking off our product. And sometimes people ask, hey, you guys are doing great work. How are you going to make money? And we realize, as we mentioned, we don't charge our patient, but the great thing is we're going to build the largest database of healthcare professionals throughout the nation, first starting with mental health. So we do not charge to be listed on our platform. That's allowed us to grow over 2,000 to 3,000 mental health professionals on our platform throughout the nation. Where we do make money is through our technology. We focus on our matching and communication services that we charge a subscription fee for the provider to connect with their patients, existing and new patients that we send their way from our matching service. We also have a billing and credentialing tools that from $150 all the way up to $500 or more, we can charge a monthly fee to manage the billing for those providers to make sure they're providing the services and treating the patients that need it most. One of our goals is to focus on Medicaid, so we apply to and get them paneled for Medicaid, but we also help the patients apply for Medicare and Medicaid as well. Our go-to-market strategy is huge. As Monisha mentioned, we have the opportunity to work with a ton of people. I sit on a few boards. We look at community partners as well, and we have over 50,000 mental health professionals that I have on speed dial, ready to service my customers whenever needed. And it's taking steps of moving forward. We like to take a step to look back. We're taking the knowledge that we've gained through our New York City pilot program, through doing a public beta. As JB mentioned, data is very important. So we were very patient in understanding mental health has its challenges. So we didn't want to go out there and charge people because this is a new idea. Mental health is a place where it's just becoming popular. So we've been fortunate to be accepted to the UpTech Accelerator in Q3 of this year. And now with the knowledge gained from UpTech, we are taking that knowledge to launch this first quarter of this year. We're publicly available. We're revamping to become better based on the knowledge and data we gained through our past history. And we're looking forward to a future of also helping enterprises. Our traction to date has accumulated to over 500 hours of therapy services happening through our video chat platform. We've matched hundreds of patients with mental health professionals. And out of the people actually visiting our platform, over 50% of those people are coming back for 2 or more sessions. So my ask for you guys today is that we improve together. We can look here and see a diverse background of people that unfortunately lost their lives to the hands of suicide. So True Circle has taken the time to give more access to mental health professionals and later on healthcare professionals to make sure that we can grow together. We also want to address the stigma of mental health and normalize the conversation. Just like you don't talk about getting an oil change in your car, we want to make it that easy for you to go see a therapist, and you don't have to always talk about it unless you choose to. Cost is such a barrier that's why we dedicated so much work into looking into the billing and healthcare payment system through government payers as well as commercial payers, because the payer is the barrier at times for people getting the help they need. And once again, focusing on diversity and underserved communities is very important and dear to my heart, because everyone that looks like me don't always feel comfortable or are happy to go get therapy services. I realized that I needed to get a team of other smart people and entrepreneurs to join my team with me. And with that occurring, my CTO and I, in our previous startup, made an exit. Michael Jones is very important to our team because he's our chief learning officer. He does the online courses and webinars to make sure providers get their CEUs. And Deja Scott is our executive vice president to make sure that all is threaded well from our administrative side, especially billing and credentialing. We have an awesome team of advisors. I mean, it's not enough room on this page for me to share them all, but it's fortunate enough that we had the opportunity to meet with and work with the CEO of Waze, the CEO of Live Person, the CEO of Harlem Hospital. I've been fortunate to receive an investment as well from Diane Eisner, who's the Director of Growth for Waze, as well as Lupe Fiasco. As I wrap up this presentation today, my main thing is that this story gets deeper and I'm limited on time. I've written a book by the name of Black Therapists Rock and share more of my story here for you guys today and involving sharing more information with you in the future. I ask that you go to L Carter NY to provide your email address, because when I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness. Thank you.
Is it on? On? Yeah, cool. Hi, everyone. My name's Jess Kerr. I'm the program manager at the Brandery, which is a startup accelerator right across the river. I met Nikki a few months ago when she applied for the Brandery's pre-accelerator program called G-Beta. When I met Nikki, I remember thinking, okay, this woman just had a baby. She runs a 5-acre farm. Oh, and she started a company in her free time. So this woman is like a total badass. And I worked with Nikki for 7 weeks to grow Planalytics before she got into UpTech. And I can truly say she is one of the hardest working, most tenacious people I have ever met. And I meet a lot of founders. Every single one of you is here because you play an important part in this ecosystem. And when we were standing out there, someone asked me what I want the Startup Cincy ecosystem to look like in 10, 20 years. I want it to look like Nikki. I want women to be scrappy and build SaaS products on servers in their basement, because that's what Nikki did. When you start a family, I want women to think this is the start of my startup journey, not the end of it. I want women to start something, to take risks, and then when they get there, to leave the ladder down for the next wave of female entrepreneurs. Our ecosystem is so much better because Nikki's in it. And I am incredibly lucky to know her and to be her friend. And now, so are all of you. So without further ado, here is Nikki Ridenauer, CEO of Planalytics.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess. I'm Nikki. I'm the founder of Planalytics. So when I started my farm, I couldn't believe that the best tools available for me to run my business were an Excel spreadsheet and a whiteboard. I've spent my career founding and building tech startups, so I knew how much technology could offer me and the 500 million family farms that produce 80% of our food. Many of these farmers are like Sarah. She's a farmer and an entrepreneur. But she started farming because she loves to be out in the field growing things, not sitting in the office doing paperwork. Unfortunately, 50% of farmers like Sarah fail in their first 5 years, and it's not a market problem. Her products are in demand more than ever. It's really a business management problem. Sarah is amazing at growing her products. It's what she's passionate about. But when it comes to growing her business, she's often flying blind. She doesn't capture any of the unique data generated by her farm. So when she goes to make business decisions, it's often with incomplete or even non-existent data. She is quite literally in the weeds with the desire, but not the time, to run her business from a higher operational level. Farmers like her are completely unserved in the market. They don't have automated tractors, and they don't need satellite-level details. They just want to get their businesses organized and have a tool that helps them stay on track. So that's why we created Planalytics. We offer farmers like Sarah visibility into their business that they've never had before. We empower her to make data-driven decisions and give her the pulse on her farm's financial and operational health. We run the office so farmers can be out in the field. Before the season starts, we help Sarah set goals and create financial projections so that she can model out her entire year before the season even starts. During the season, we help her capture and interpret her data so that she can see how she's tracking along those goals. And then after the season's over, we help her evaluate how it went and set her up with plans for a successful following year. Our tools shine a spotlight on those key tasks and processes that are critical to long-term success, but often get pushed off when things just get too busy. We help Sarah navigate the path to profitability more quickly and clearly. So before farming, I was a user experience designer, creating web and mobile applications for startups and agencies. The other part of our team is my husband, Chris. As a serial CTO, he spent his career creating algorithms and products for startups and enterprises. This is actually our second time co-founding a startup together. Planalytics is offered as a subscription service starting at $399 per year. We're working with farmer training programs, universities, and advocacy groups, all the places where farmers go now to get their new information. We're launching this March with our first set of tools, which will include modeling and record keeping, followed by deeper analytics tools and a mobile field capture app. Early in 2020, we're working on third-party integrations and external data sources. And then later in 2020, we're really interested in helping these farmers use their data beyond business decisions. So we think there's a lot of opportunities for them to connect with and communicate with their customers in unique ways, as well as collaborate with the farming community as a whole. We want there to be more farmers like Sarah. Our tools help new farmers see success faster and help all farmers stay in business longer. If you're interested in what we're working on, we'd really love to talk. Thanks.
It's really good to be here. I feel stupid presenting on my feet now that I know it can be done on reels. Man. I'm Rebecca Arbona. Oh, the mic. Good. I'm loud enough, I think. I'm Rebecca Arbona. I'm the president of Tapestry Strategy. We're a brand strategy and naming firm. I'm also on the board of UpTech, and I've mentored with all of these companies. Can we take a minute to talk about the 4 that have gone already? What great jobs, you guys! You were awesome. I'm up here to introduce, obviously, the last one, Weave. I was very honored and touched when the guys asked me to present. And they didn't tell me why they asked me to introduce them, but I think I know. I think they asked me because they know how much I believe in them. I believe in all of you. But I'm really excited about Weave for 3 reasons that I want to share with you. The first, the obvious one, what you're always looking at with a startup, they have a great idea, right? You're going to be hearing tonight about this emotional understanding chatbot, first in the world. It's a really great idea. And the potential for this idea to help companies with these really pressing problems around engagement and morale and turnover, I mean, this is huge. This has a lot of impact. But the second thing that I'm really excited about with Weave that's super important is that the time is right for their idea. We've all seen really great ideas that, yes, you're thinking Apple Newton. I can hear you thinking it. You're thinking it so loud. Great ideas that don't succeed because they're just not aligning with the culture. And what I love about Weave is that the technology around chatbots and all of the amazing AI magic that's in there that I don't understand, but they do, the technological readiness is really married in this case with cultural receptivity. Even a year or 2 ago, people weren't as willing to talk, to confide even, I would say, with the chatbot as they are now. So the ground is really ready for their idea. The third reason that I'm really excited about Weave, there's a lot of people talking about startups that will even say that this is the most important thing. More important than the idea is the team. Omar and Vivek and Sagar, where's Sagar? Sagar are an amazing team. They're 3 really smart guys. They have great training and great preparation, great experience. They met as consultants at Deloitte. So you know that, they've got some decent stuff behind them. They learned a thing or 2. But they saw in their work with their clients, they saw these problems. Really diverse clients in different industries were facing these kinds of terrible turnover and morale and engagement issues. And they've been working on this idea to try to address it for a long time. And when I've worked with them, I see how they work together. Their teamwork, their collaboration, their mutual respect, their efficiency. They're not in each other's laps. Everybody has a job to do. They work so well together. And with such, what were the things Casey talked about? Purpose, passion, and urgency. I wrote it down and it worked. I remembered it. When he said that, I thought, well, yeah, that's what we're talking about with Weave. And so I'm so pleased and so excited, and I have so much belief. Vivek Mehta with Weave. Oh, no.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. That was amazing. Hi, I'm Vivek. I'm the CEO of Weave. We give businesses a better way to understand and act on employee feedback. The average cost to replace an employee that makes $100K is $213,000. And turnover like this is becoming more and more common. There's a changing technology landscape, a younger, more millennial workforce, and less loyalty between employees and companies. The end result is that turnover is the highest that it's been in 10 years. My co-founders and I are ex-Deloitte consultants, but we didn't quit our jobs, we quit our boss. And we're not alone. 75% of people that leave do so because their managers aren't being responsive to their issues and needs. Managers want to have happy and successful teams, and they're trying to understand their team's issues, but current tools are letting them down. Every employee feedback tool today is a survey, and frankly, surveys suck. People hate taking them, so they don't, and most critically, surveys miss the elephant in the room. People don't think about their workplace issues on a 1 through 5 scale. Surveys ignore real human emotion, meaning that they ignore real insight. The current issue to action timeline for a survey is 1.5 years. About 1 year for a survey to happen, another 6 months before anything is done about it. That means that there are massive periods of time where employee voices are not heard, let alone their issues being reacted to. This creates a disconnect between employees and management, which results in turnover. So we created Weave, the first empathetic employee feedback platform that removes the disconnect between employees and management. Weave takes that 1.5 years and we bring it down to 2 weeks. Every other week, we have conversations with employees to understand their issues. We analyze the conversations and surface the insights to managers. Managers take action, and then we broadcast that out to the team. So let's take a closer look. Kim is our AI chatbot that gives a voice to employees. She surfaces in every major communications channel and is built on an emotional understanding framework that allows her to have organic conversation and get to true feedback. In fact, we've seen that employees are not only willing to speak with Kim, they actually really want to do so because everyone needs that outlet to express their workplace issues. And Kim can provide that by giving a unique combination of anonymity plus empathy that gets to real feedback. In fact, the CEO of one of our pilot companies has said that chatting with Kim is a gift for employees. So let's jump into a real conversation. Kim reaches out to an employee and says, "Hey Jan, how's your day going?" She always starts with this general sort of question to let employees drive the tone of the conversation. Jan says, "Great. Glad to hear that. Now Kim wants to check in and see if it's the right time to ask a couple of questions." We always check if it's the right time because if employees have to answer questions when they don't want to, those answers are very, very different. So Jan says, "Sure, what's up? Do you feel like you have the information needed to perform your job effectively?" "Not at all." So Kim empathizes, "Sorry to hear you feel that way. Can you tell me more?" She wants to dive in. "I'm supposed to be using Tableau, but no one's showed me how it works. I have no idea. I waste my whole week trying to figure it out." Kim says she's going to take a note of it, pass that along anonymously, and ask if there's anything else that Jan wants to share. In this case, no, and that's the end of the conversation. So a typical conversation could take a couple more questions than this, but it'll always take less than 2 minutes of a user's time. As you can imagine, at the end of the day, we have a ton of conversation data. The true power of Weave is that we're able to filter this chaos into the most actionable pieces of feedback. Not only answering the questions that managers have, but also uncovering issues that they had no idea existed. The results for a survey typically look like this. It's a single data point, and that data point is helpful. But Weave takes that and blows it out into a full story, telling you not only what your employees are thinking, but how they feel about it. And we bubble up the most actionable pieces of feedback. Managers can then respond to that feedback directly within the tool, and Kim will broadcast that to the team, letting them know what issue was raised and what's the solution that's come as a result of it. This creates a cycle where employees know that their voice is being heard, so they continue to provide feedback in the future, and managers continue to provide solutions. This results in strong relationships between managers and employees, and teams that don't want to quit. 5 years ago, it would not have been possible for a product like ours to enter this space. Talking to chatbots is something people are uncomfortable with, and frankly, the technology just was not there. But today, people talk to bots every day in retail and support and service applications, and the time has come to bring that technology into the employee feedback space. The employee feedback market is big. It's $15.3 billion and growing fast. It's projected to have a 15% year-over-year growth for the next 10 years. Our serviceable market consists of companies that face the highest costs from employee turnover. These are businesses with less than 10,000 employees with really high people cost, typically in the white-collar sectors. Our projected market share is $312 million, and this is based off of the share that our closest competitors in this space have. To date, we have built and launched our MVP. We've conducted 3 paid pilots and gotten great results, and we've built up a sales pipeline of 50,000 employees. To put that in context, signing 5,000 employees gets us to a break even, signing 20,000 gets us to $1 million in annual revenue. My team and I are ex-consultants, and our experience is in building large enterprise-scale applications serving millions of users. We've had the opportunity to work with clients of every size and in every industry, and we've seen the patterns of turnover in corporate America. We were the employees that didn't have an avenue to voice our issues. And later, we were the managers and team leads that didn't have the tools to understand their teams. This cycle creates people that fall through the cracks, and that made us really passionate about wanting to remove the disconnect between employees and management. Our combination of passion for this issue and our experience weaves together to make us the right team. We are Weave. Don't take another survey. Have a chat. Thank you.
Let's give another big round of applause for these awesome startups we had. If you know me, I rarely will say these words. Great job. So before we get to the drinks and the food outside and the conversation, I do want to talk a little bit about the future of UpTech. This past year, under partnership with Triad and many others, we were awarded 2 significant grants. The first, the RISE grant from the state of Kentucky, and the second, the EDA I6 Challenge. Collectively, we're looking at an awarded amount of roughly $1.5 million that is being matched dollar for dollar by local organizations. This is an unprecedented amount of funding in Northern Kentucky being invested into entrepreneurship and innovation. The focus of these grants is to develop industry-specific innovation sectors, including supply chain, health innovation, and informatics. This will also include supporting more programs dedicating to aiding all entrepreneurs in the Northern Kentucky region. Stay tuned for more details and the role that UpTech will be playing. Now, I gave you guys an assignment before, so what I want you guys to do with that is I want you to take it out into the auditorium, the lobby, this hallway, whatever we want to call it, and I want you to interact with these individuals. If you don't get a chance to talk to somebody, email me at jb@uptechideas.org, and I'm going to get that information to them, because that's what our community does. We help each other. We create a home for these folks. But I do have one more thing, and I'd like to invite our board chair, Tom Pruitt, to the stage to talk about it. The microphone.
Thank you, JB, and thanks to all of you for being here and for supporting UpTech, and really for supporting the entire ecosystem. Someone said earlier, as somebody said earlier, each and every one of you in this room plays a vital role in the ecosystem that is growing and being built here in Greater Cincinnati. And I thank you on behalf of all of the family at UpTech. I want to invite up here one of those incredibly vital people and players in this ecosystem, Abby, who you all met a little earlier. How many people have had the opportunity to interact with Abby? So if you have, then you know how fantastic she is. If you haven't, then you probably have and just don't realize it, because she's incredibly efficient in getting things done and making things like today happen. So we want to recognize Abby today, and I want to tell a little bit of Abby's story, and then I'll tell you what the great things are coming for her. So Abby started at UpTech as an intern under UpTech's internship program with Northern Kentucky University. This was back in the day when Amanda Greenwell was running the UpTech program, and when Amanda got tapped by United Way to go over there, the board turned to JB and said, who was our entrepreneur in residence at the time, and we said, JB, can you come take over the program? And JB thought about it and said, sure, I'll do that. And he looked over, and there was Abby, the intern, who was the only other person on deck at the time. And JB wisely said to the board, I'm going to make an offer to Abby and see if she'll come on board, I think as marketing manager at the time. Abby was young. She's still young. She was green. She was a little wide-eyed because we were having a big change at UpTech, but she came on board. And not only did she tackle marketing, she ended up tackling just about everything else that there was to tackle. She tackled operations. She tackled the facilities. She essentially did everything that the cohort needed in order to free up JB so that he could work directly with them, which is where his highest and best use is. So we thank you, Abby, for all of that. Abby is not leaving entirely. She's sort of moving up, we like to say. Abby is going to be moving over to Triad, which you just heard about, and helping to facilitate this RISE grant and this I-6 grant that you're going to be hearing more about in 2019. We thank Triad for that move and giving her the opportunity to move on up. Thank you, Karen, and everyone else at Triad. Abby, we appreciate everything that you've done. We've got a little something for you. But thank you, congratulations, and we look for more and better things.
I said it before, but thank you, Abby, for everything you do. We could not do this without you. So now it's time to go have some drinks and food. So thank you all for being here, and hope you have a great night.